It was here this week. A lot of good games. A lot of guys having huge fantasy games. But here's a few defenses on waivers that can help you heading into Week 13. The first defense is the Tennessee Titans. The Titans played a decent game versus the Colts. But next week, this is where you want to get this Titans defense. They got a good matchup. Next week is Tennessee versus the Cleveland Browns, an offense that they look decent today, but they versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Today they had 10 fantasy points. Was the Titans D, 26 points allowed, but 2 sacks in it though. And A.J. Brown with that crazy return onside kick touchdown, which bailed them out. But like I said, they got the Browns now. The Browns, they don't do much. Baker Mayfield, he threw his first touchdown since Week 7. So the Browns, they're going to look to run the ball a lot and try a lot of different things. But I think this defense can hold them down and stop them. So I like the Titans, and they're available in 74% of leagues. The second defense is the Minnesota Vikings to pick up this week on waivers. They versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, who we saw struggle, and they give up the third most fantasy points to defenses. And the Vikings, they had a crazy victory this week versus the Carolina Panthers, where they only gave up 15 points, had an into and a block kick, only 5 fantasy points. But this week versus Jacksonville, Minshew might come back, but I don't think it matters. I think this defense that could get to Minshew or Glennon, whoever the quarterback is, make a big play or two, and they are available in 48% of leagues. And like I said, Jacksonville gives up a lot of points to defenses. So go out there and get the Vikings. The next defense is the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks, they're available in a bunch of leagues. Now they got the Giants coming up, who are going to be without Daniel Jones. And right now, you could pick that Seattle defense up right here, right now, before their ball game here on Monday Night Football. But the Seahawks available in 42% of leagues. They got Philly this week, then the Giants, Jets, and Washington. So this is a defense you could use for the next 4 weeks if you could get your hands on them with all plus and great matchups. So I like the Seattle defense, and go out there and get them, because like I said, these are amazing matchups coming up, and they could get double-digit fantasy points each and every one of these games coming up. And the next defense is the Chicago Bears. The Bears, they've been pretty good on defense this year. The problem for them has been the offensive side of the ball. And Chicago next week with a pretty good matchup versus Detroit. Detroit gives up the 12th most fantasy points to defenses. And last week we saw the Houston Texans on Thanksgiving Day, a poor defense, make a few plays and score a touchdown as well with a J.J. Watt touchdown. So the Bears, like I said, they're available in 40% of leagues. They've had 5 games of double-digit or more fantasy points this season, which is pretty solid. Now they got Detroit coming up, and they've been dropped in a bunch of leagues because they're versing the high-powered Green Bay offense this week. So go out there and pick up the Bears. And the fifth and final defense I'll look to pick up this week is the Vegas Raiders. I know they came off a poor performance versus the Atlanta Falcons, but the Raiders here, they got a dream matchup versus the New York Jets, who can't score on anybody. Again, a 3-point game for the Jets, only a field goal in this one versus Miami. And the Raiders, I know they've been horrible on D, but this is a 1-week thing, and this is a pickup you should go out there and make. The Raiders, their defense available in 91% of leagues, so they're a good matchup they got. It's a good ad to make, and it's just a streaming option for Week 13. So that's a few defenses I'm looking to add on waivers heading into Week 13.